Welcome back to the online sessions on signals and systems. And today's session will try to complete the properties of Fourier transforms. Okay, so properties of Fourier transforms is an important topic for us. Why the properties are going to be important topic for us? The properties are going to be so important because properties are normally going to be the results of operations performed on the signals in frequency domain. So therefore, properties are normally going to give us directly solutions to provide relationship between the signals in the frequency domain analysis. Okay, so therefore these properties are useful for deriving Fourier transform pairs as well as deducing the general frequency relationships. So therefore we apply the Fourier transforms. Well, the first property is going to be the linearity property. So here in the linearity property, already we discussed about the linear time invariant systems and all, where the weight of the signal is really going to point of interest for us, is really going to be a point of interest for us. So here also this property states that the Fourier transforms of a weighted sum of two signals equals to the weighted sum of their individual Fourier transforms. That means, imagine if you have a signal z of t, which is going to be a combination of weighted sum of two other signals, like A is a weight of the signal x of t, B is a weight of the signal y of t, where x of t is going to have a pair with x of omega and y of t is going to have a pair with y of omega. Then if you normally going to find out Fourier transform to such a function z of t, it is going to produce a Fourier transform with the same weights on the Fourier transform representation. That is what this particular linearity property. That means whatever the scalar components which are there on the time domain, same scalar components will be coming as it is in the frequency domain property, in the frequency domain representation of the signal. So that property is simply known as the linearity property, where A and B are definitely going to be the constants under consideration. So what is the basic equation for Fourier transforms that we have? The basic equation is integral of, if the signal is taken as z of t is a signal for us, then applying Fourier transform to z of t will be getting z of omega, because we are converting, sorry, we are transforming time domain signal with time domain signal t to frequency domain omega. So therefore, after we apply the Fourier transform to this, we'll be getting a frequency domain signal. Therefore, we'll write z of omega is equal to integral of z of t into e power minus j omega t dt. That is the Fourier transform representation. Then simply substitute here z of t as a into x of t plus b into y of t. Right? Then we expand this with the appropriate Fourier transforms. So therefore, a into x of t into e power minus j omega t dt, and it's going to be like b into y of t into e power minus j omega t dt. So a and b are constants. We'll take it outside, and what is this integral of x of t into e power minus j omega t? That is the basic formula for x of omega. Similarly, this equation, that is the basic formula for y of omega. Therefore, what we can say that z of t, which is equal to a into x of t plus b into y of t, is going to form a Fourier transform pair to produce z of omega, which is equal to a into x of omega plus b into y of omega. So this is known as the linearity property of the Fourier transforms. So this property is also an important property asked many times in the exam. So please practice this property. The next property is going to be a time shifting property. Time shifting means what? If a signal is shifted in the time domain, how it is going to be seen in the frequency domain. That is called a time shifting property. So this property states that if a signal, say x of t, is shifted by some time period t naught seconds, then the spectrum is modified by a linear shift of slope, same slope, minus omega t naught. If the signal is shifted in time domain, same amount of slope you're going to find in the frequency domain. And exactly reverse is going to happen for frequency shifting. We'll see the frequency shifting also. That is also going to be an important property. Okay. So let's say, if imagine that if x of t is going to form a Fourier transform, forms a Fourier transform with x of omega. So we can say that if x of t is Fourier transformable, it gives a result as x of omega. So therefore, x of t and x of omega are going to form a Fourier transform pair. If this is the case, now this is going to be the initial condition for all the Fourier uh, Fourier transform properties. So this is going to be default understood. That means if x of t is going to produce a Fourier transform as x of omega, then only rest of the other cases are going to be true for that particular input signal. So therefore, it will be always the predefined case for us to start with. So therefore, if x of t is going to be Fourier transformable and produces x of omega, then if you write shifting on the time axis, that means if you write x of t minus t naught, it is going to seen on the frequency domain as e power minus j omega naught t into x of omega. So that means where t naught time shift in the time domain is going to produce minus omega t naught in the corresponding phase shift in the spectrum of the frequency domain. So that means this much of shift, same amount of shift is normally going to get provided in the frequency domain spectrum. That is what the analysis we can do now. So now from definition, what I can say, f of if at all I write this as, instead of t minus t naught, I'll write as t. So Fourier transform x of t is equal to integral of x of t in t power minus j omega t dt is the formula. So if we substitute t is equal to t minus t naught, then I simply expand something like this. For simplicity case, for simplifying, what we can do, we can just simply substitute t minus t naught as some tau. Tau is a dummy variable. Then tau is equal, then t is equal to what I can write, because here I'm changing this particular variable into dummy variable tau. So differentiation also I have to change into dummy variable tau. So therefore, I simply going to write this, because in the integration I have with respect to time. So therefore, I have to get in terms of tau. So for this, what I can do now, I'll just take this t naught on the right hand side of this. Thereby, I can write this as t is equal to tau plus t naught. And if I differentiate this equation, I get what now? dt is equal to d tau, where tau naught is going to be a fixed value constant, which will be taken as equal to 0. So the constant differentiation of constant is taken as 0. So that t naught is taken as 0 for us. Now, Fourier transform of x of t minus t naught is equal to, what is that I can write now? Is equal to integral of x of t minus t naught is equal to tau e power minus j t. What is t? I have represented as tau plus t naught into what is dt? dt is nothing but d tau. That's it. So simply I expand this now, e power minus j omega tau into e power minus j omega t naught into d tau. Now in this equation, if you see carefully, in this equation, this is the integration with respect to d tau. So all the rest of the other variables which are other than tau are going to be constants. So therefore, we will take this e power minus j omega t naught as a constant, take it outside of the integration, and I'll write the integration as like this. Now this is the form of the Fourier transform for the signal with varying dummy variable tau. Okay, something like x of omega now this is. So therefore, I can write this as e power minus j omega t naught into x of omega. It is nothing but simply the frequency domain representation in terms of the omega for us. So therefore, I can write this as in terms of omega. So e power minus j omega t naught into x of omega I can write. So therefore, this x of t minus t naught is going to form a Fourier transform pair with e power minus j omega t naught into x of omega. So this is what the property of the Fourier transforms. Now the beauty of this particular property is that this property has a very important implication. What is that implication now? The magnitude of this function is equals to the magnitude of x of omega. Therefore, the absolute value of this entire function becomes equal to the absolute value of this particular x of omega, because the shift is there. Shift is there in the angular displacement. So therefore, the phase angle is normally going to get shifted, but amplitude is normally equal to same. So this is what the distinction which we normally going to have it over here. So the angle, that means see here, this angular displacement is going to be there with omega t naught. So this is what the change we're going to have. The next property is going to be an important property, which is also a frequency shifting property, which is also a very important property. So it's something like multiplication by an exponential property. Frequency shifting means what? We have to shift the signal in the frequency domain. If you shift the signal in the frequency domain, how it will be reflected in the time domain. So if there is a shift of minus omega naught in the frequency domain, the same amount of shift you're going to see, the implication you're going to see on the time domain as exponential part with plus omega naught t. It is exactly reverse of time domain. In time domain, you're going to have e power minus j omega t naught, and here also you're going to have something like e power minus j omega t naught. So that means same amount of shift you're going to see in the time shifting property. Coming to frequency shifting, it is reverse of this. So if you have a shift on the frequency domain of minus omega naught, this you're going to see as exponential part as plus j omega naught. So this is what the property we have called as a frequency shifting property. If you shift the signal in frequency domain, how it will be seen in the time domain, right? So now what is this? Actually, we can write this as Fourier transform of this function I have to write now. So Fourier transform x of t is equal to this is x of omega. So Fourier transform this function is equal to, I can write this as now. So my function now has become now e power j omega t into x of t. And I'll be simply writing it as e power minus j omega t naught. Sorry, this is going to be e power minus j omega t here. So if I take t as common, if I take minus j as common, then I can write this as t. This is not t naught, this is just t. T minus t naught. So there is a mistake here, like, it should be omega naught here. It should be omega naught. It should be omega here. Okay. So, and it's going to be t here. It's going to be t here. So there is a small mistake over here. So as it is, this is the function I have. E power j omega naught t into x of t is a function. I am finding out the Fourier transform of this function. F of this means Fourier transform of this into e power minus j omega t dt. That is the function I have. So here I'll be having omega naught. Okay. Here I'll be having omega naught. Here I'll be having minus omega. So minus j, if I take common, omega minus omega naught into t dt. Right? Okay. Now, what is the function representation of this? See, if at all I have here e power minus j omega t, I'll be having x of omega here. Whatever is there I have between j and t, that part will be coming over here. So here I have omega minus omega naught, exactly same part is simply coming out over here, which is the frequency domain representation of the signal for this particular time domain Fourier transform signal, which is equal to Fourier transform of this particular signal. Okay. So therefore, these two are now going to form a Fourier transform pair. Similarly, if I make it as omega plus omega naught, I'll be getting e power minus j omega naught t. So this is the representation I can have. This is what the frequency shifting property. The next property is going to be time reversal property. Time reversal property. It is not that so important, but as it is there in the syllabus, let us go with all the 14 properties which we have of the Fourier transforms. So time reversal property means what? Time has to be reversed. That means x of t becomes x power minus t, then it leads to x of minus omega. That's what the property all about. Now by definition, what I can write? Fourier transform of x of minus t is equal to x of minus t into e power minus j omega t dt. This is what a representation of Fourier transform. This is the signal I have. So therefore, this t is replaced with minus t. In the entire above equation, replace t by minus t. So here minus t becomes plus t. And here in the above equation that I can write here as, see, this equation is written based on this particular replacement. Minus t has become plus t. Here t has become something like minus t. So I can write this as minus j minus of omega. So that means whatever it is there between minus j and t, same thing will be coming over here, x of minus omega. So therefore, Fourier transform of x of minus t is equal to x of minus omega. So these two are going to form a Fourier transform pair. That is what time reversal property. Next one is time scaling property. It is something like compressing the signal. So x of at is a compressed version of x of t when when a is normally greater than 1. If a is less than 1, something like a by 2, then we'll be having an expanded version. So that is what the form we have. So let us look into this. X of at is normally going to be represented like 1 by a, x of omega by a. So Fourier transform x of at I can write as equal to x of at into e power j omega t dt. So to get into this form, we have to make some substitutions. That is, let at becomes equal to some tau and t becomes equal to tau by a. Therefore, dt becomes equal to d tau by a. So replace at by tau in the above equation and t by tau by a. So therefore, I can write like this: dt is equal to d tau by a. So 1 by a is taken outside and rest of the thing I'll write it like this only with omega by a in between j minus j and tau. So everything is same now here. It is same as the Fourier transform representation. So x of whatever there between minus j and tau is what will be coming over here. So x of omega by a. So these two are going to form a Fourier transform pair now. That is what called the time scaling property we have. The next one is differentiation in the frequency domain. So in the frequency domain, if we differentiate how it looks to be there on the time domain. That is what this particular property. This property states that the multiplication of signal x of t by t is equivalent to differentiation of its Fourier transform in the frequency domain. What is differentiation? D by d omega, because we're differentiating in the omega axis. In the frequency domain, we write is d by d omega. Now, this is the formula we have. Fourier transform formula: x of omega is equal to integral of x of t power minus j omega t dt over the limits minus infinity plus infinity. Then differentiate on the both sides. We want differentiation in the frequency domain. So therefore, d by d omega I'll do on the both sides. So d by d omega, where is omega? Omega is here. Therefore, I'll interchange this d by d omega into the integration. I'll interchange differential integration here. Then I have to differentiate with respect to this now. So here x of t into e power minus j omega t into minus jt. If you differentiate with respect to omega into dt, I can write minus j is a common factor. I can just take it outside. So minus j into integral of t into x of t into e power minus j omega t dt. So that's the equation that I will be getting over here. Okay. So now it is in the form of something like a Fourier transform of t into x of t. If t into x of t is a function, how I can write this function as Fourier transform of this function I can write. So simply f of t dot x of t I can as well write. Now to eliminate this minus, I simply multiply and divided by j on the numerator and denominator. I'll be getting 1 by j into this particular factor. J will be taken onto this side. So j into d by d omega x of omega, Fourier transform x into x of t. So these two are now going to form a Fourier transform pair. So this is what the relationship when you differentiate on the frequency domain, it will be looking like a multiplication of signal with respect to time in the time domain. Then similarly, differentiation in the time domain. I have to get the differentiation of time domain. To get that, I'll go with the inverse Fourier transform formula. X of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral x of omega e power j omega t d omega. So I want to have a differentiation for the time signal, time domain signal. So differentiation with respect to time x of t d by dt of x of t can write. So here 1 by 2 pi d by dt of this function. So here I have t. So therefore I will interchange differentiation integration here same as above. If you differentiate this with respect to time, I will be having j omega into e power j omega t d omega and integration of this. And in this integration, we are integrating with respect to omega. So therefore, integration with respect to omega. So therefore, x of omega into e power j omega t d omega. So this is the signal which is a function of omega. So that is taken. and exponential part of the signal multiplication multiplied signal, so that will be taken, and j omega will be taken outside, which is the constant value. Resultant of this is going to be a constant. After differentiation, I will be taking it out. The next j omega into 1 by 2 pi into this particular factor. So what is this known as now? This is known as inverse Fourier transform. Inverse Fourier transform x of omega. Okay. So if we apply Fourier transform on both sides now, applying Fourier transform on both sides, Fourier transform d by dt of x of t is equal to j omega Fourier transform of this one, inverse Fourier transform. Inverse Fourier transform, forward transform, Fourier transform will get cancelled. So finally, I'll be getting what now? Fourier transform d by dt of x of t is equal to j omega into x of omega. So if you have a differentiation in time domain, you're going to find the same effect on the frequency domain as j omega into x of omega. This is for a single differentiation. If it is going to be nth differential equation, d to the power n by dt to the power n x of t, then j omega to the power n x of omega, we can simply replace. The next one is going to be time integration property. What is the time integration property? If you integrate with respect in the time domain, how it is going to look in the frequency domain? Differentiation in time domain just now is seen as j omega into. Integration means what? Just inverse. Reverse of the differentiation is integration. So therefore 1 by j omega I will be getting. Okay, that means it should not violate the basic property of the mathematics. The mathematical property, the basic mathematical property is what? It should not violate anything over there. So therefore we are not violating that. So without violating mathematical property, we will be simply getting the Fourier transform properties. Okay. So now let us look into this particular property. So by definition, what I can write now, x of t is equal to inverse Fourier transform is equal to 1 by 2 pi x of omega e power j omega. All this we know already. Then here we replace t by tau, dummy variable tau, and integrating both sides over minus infinity to t under consideration d tau, because we want to have integration of the time domain signal. So therefore we apply integration of minus infinity to t and all this particular factor. And here I'm replacing with dummy variable tau. Okay. T is replaced with dummy variable tau. So therefore I replace with dummy variable tau, and I'm differentiating with respect to, integrating with respect to dummy variable tau. So therefore d tau here. So here e power minus j omega, t is replaced with tau, d tau, all these things I'm going to have. Then next one is what? I integrate this with respect to this e power minus j omega t with respect to d tau. I'll be getting this particular form. Limits are going to be minus infinity to t. I apply the limits. I'll be getting this equation, and j omega x of omega by j omega into e power j omega t d omega is the final result for us. Now when I take this form now, what is this form now? 1 by 2 pi integral of x of omega e power j omega d omega. It is nothing but the inverse Fourier transform. So inverse Fourier transform f inverse of x of omega by j omega. So apply Fourier transform on both sides, then we'll be getting something like 1 by j omega x of omega. So this is what the form we're going to have, which is what the, when you integrate in the time domain, it is going to see in the frequency domain as 1 by j omega x of omega. The next one, next important property is going to be the convolution property. The convolution in time domain, what is the result of this? Convolution in time domain is equal to the multiplication in the frequency domain. So this particular property tells that if you convolute two signals in time domain is simply equivalent to multiplying their spectra in the frequency domain. So what is the meaning of convolution? It is something like vector multiplication is known as convolution for us. Okay, it is as simple as that. So let us try to convolute the two signals. Okay, x of t star x1 of t star x2 of t, two signals are convoluted now. So here convolution means what? One signal is kept fixed with a time period, other signal is normally going to get varied is going to get shifted, and these two spectrums are normally going to get multiplied, and the result is normally been taken out, and sum of all these results is going to be the resultant signal that we normally going to get over here. So that is what the convolution property. So convolution means simply one signal will kept as fixed constant. Other signal we normally going to take the shifted versions of the signal and we simply scan x2 of t over x1 of t. So as a result of scanning x2 of t over x1 of t, after the completion of scanning, we will be getting the resultant signal, which is going to be the convolution of these two signals. So that is what the basic thing which we will be doing it here. Scanning means what? Say for example, see this fingerprints I have here, white fingerprints I am moving now. See, imagine that this white fingerprint is one signal x2 of t. Imagine this is x1 of t. Now I am scanning this continuously up to here. Now from here to here, see, I have this fingertip here. I have a signal here. Whenever I have these two, I'll be having the multiplication. So other than this, here there is no signal. There is no multiplication. Multiplication is zero. 0 into something is 0, right? So wherever I have multiplication, I'll be getting the signal. I'll be getting a convoluted signal or a multiplicand signal. Result of multiplication I'm going to get. Similar to that, I'm going to have this. So I'll be simply scanning I'll be simply scanning x1 of tau by using x2 of tau minus tau. So that is what the basic action we are doing it here. So therefore, apply Fourier transform to this particular convoluted signal. Fourier transform means what? This is the basic representation of Fourier transform. Okay. So therefore, applying Fourier transform, once again, one more integration into e power minus j omega dt. This will be as it is. Now interchanging the order of integration, what I can really simply write it over here as x1 of tau d tau separated with dt. So this is x2 of t minus tau e power minus j omega t dt will be taken on one part. Now we'll make the variable substitutions to solve this. It's a very simple substitution to solve the equation now. So substituting here t minus tau is equal to some dummy variable p and differentiate this dp is equal to dt is equal to dp. In the second integration we have, this is the first integration, this part is second integration. x2 of p is equal to e power minus j omega. What is t here? T is equal to tau plus p. So p plus tau I can write into dt is nothing but dp into d tau. So then simply expanding this now, integration of x2 of p e power minus j. Now I am separating the exponent part now, e power minus j omega p into e power minus j omega tau dp d tau. Now just simply we solve this particular equation now. The first part remains as it is, integral of x1 of tau, then integral of x2 of p e power minus jp dp e power minus j omega tau d tau. Okay. Now what is this part now? This part is nothing but the Fourier transform. Fourier transform of the signal. Instead, earlier we have here t, something like x of t into e power minus j omega t dt. All this is t is a variable, whereas here p is a variable. But it is transformed. The result is going to be transformed version in the frequency domain. Therefore, I can write this as x2 of omega. This entire part I can write as x2 of omega. So x2 of omega written, this e power minus j omega tau, I'll take it on this side, d tau. And this entire part is going to be what now? Simply x1 of omega. So x2 of omega into x1 of omega. So finally, what is the result I'll got? The convolution in the time domain is equal to multiplication in the frequency domain. Very, very important relationship, which is what the convolution theorem in the signals and systems subject. The next concept is going to be multiplication property or a frequency convolution theorem. That means if you convolute, if you do the convolution in the frequency domain, what is the result in the time domain? Exactly reverse is going to be there. So convolution in the time domain is equivalent to the multiplication in the frequency domain. Okay, same result, opposite results we normally going to get over here. Okay. So let us move on further now. x1 of t, x2 of t are going to form a Fourier transform pairs with capital X1 of omega, capital X2 of omega. If it is so, it should satisfy this property. So let us go with this now. Fourier transform of x of t, we know it is nothing but equal to x of omega is equal to, this is the formula we have. And inverse Fourier transform of this Fourier transform, I'll take it on to this side, then I can write x of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi x of omega e power j omega t d omega. Here omega is the variable here, okay, which is very important because we are converting the frequency domain into the time domain here. In the above equation, what we are doing, we are converting from time domain into the frequency domain. So this is called Fourier transform. This is called inverse Fourier transform. X of t, the equation is inverse Fourier transform. Let us start doing with this now formula now. So we are multiplying in the scalar multiplication in the time domain I am doing. Simply x1 of t into x2 of t. I can simply write it as something like Fourier transform means what these two multiplicand result is nothing but scalar multiplicand result is equal to this function into e power j omega t dt is the form we have. So what is x1 of t? See here now. Yeah. So x1 of t, this that means what, x of t, single x of t. Now I can write x1 of t. I replace this x1 of t with a dummy variable t for tau for t here. Then I can write 1 by 2 pi integral of x of tau e power minus, instead of omega I'm writing tau d tau as some dummy variable, x2 of t into e power j as it is. Rest of the equation is as it is, e power x2 of t into x2 of t into e power j omega t dt. Now interchanging this order of integrations, we have two integrations here. We interchange the order of integrations as x2 of t e power minus j tau t e power j omega t d tau, all these things. And I simply going to get this equation as something like what? x1 of tau, this entire part, I can write it as what now? It is going to be x2 of t into e power minus j omega t form. Whatever is there in between minus j and t will be coming over here. I'll be writing it over here. So therefore, x2 of omega minus tau d tau I'll be having. Now, what is this entire form now? It is simply going to be the convolution of these two signals, and I can write this as convolution of these two signals here. So it is going to be shifted in the frequency domain now. Shifting in the frequency domain. Shifting in the frequency domain is the formula for convolution basically when it comes with integration. So I am replacing it with the convolution. So therefore finally I can write this as 1 by 2 pi x1 of omega convoluted with x2 of omega is equal to the Fourier transform of this particular time domain multiplicand signal. So this is what the very important Fourier transform that we have, which is nothing but the multiplication property of the Fourier transform which we have. Okay. The next one is going to be the modulation property. This is also an important property. Modulation property. Modulation means what? You are multiplying the signal x of t with cos omega of t. With cos omega. Well, now this property is going to state that if a signal x of t is multiplied by cos omega ct, its spectrum gets translated or shifted with plus omega naught, omega c and minus omega c. That means it's going to get translated up and down in frequency by omega c. That is what the modulation property. So this property, as we said, it is normally used in the analog communication analysis. So here x of t is the signal. It is going to get superimposed onto the cos omega ct. So cos omega ct means what? It is normally a signal with a very high frequency signal. Now when this signal is multiplied with this signal, it results into getting a spectrum of x of t, or getting a spectrum of x of t translated with respect to plus omega c and with minus omega c and plus omega c. So that is the relationship which we have, which we'll be getting from this particular multiplication property of the Fourier transforms. So let us look into this now. First of all, this is the signal we have, x of t into cos omega ct is the signal we have. Then x of t into cos we'll write in terms of exponential form as e power j theta plus e power minus j theta by 2 form. So here theta is nothing but equal to omega ct we have. So e power j omega ct plus e power minus j omega ct by 2, all this we normally going to have here. 1 by 2 is a constant, we'll simply take it outside. 1 by 2 is totally constant, applying the Fourier transform on both sides. What I'll be having, simply Fourier transform x of t dot into cos omega ct is equal to half Fourier transform of x of t into e power j omega ct plus half, once again Fourier transform has to apply here, Fourier transform of x of t into, or for this entire Fourier transform you can just apply here one more bracket. If you simply put it over here and here, it is something like applied for this as well. Okay, and 1 by 2 should be taken over here. So that means you have to apply here Fourier transform also. Now here we, in the previous slides we discussed about the frequency shifting property. What this property is going to tell about, if there is a shift in the frequency domain of minus omega c, on the time domain it is simply going to get multiplied with the time signal, time domain signal, by e power plus j omega ct. If it is going to be translation of plus omega c on the frequency domain, you're going to see that part as in the time domain as multiplication of x of t with e power minus j minus omega c j t. So that is the form we have from the frequency shifting property. So using the frequency shifting property, what we can say? We can say that we can write the equation Fourier transform of x of t into e power j omega c t can write as equal to x of omega minus omega c. Similarly here x of omega plus omega c. So this is what the form we normally going to get once we apply the modulation property. So this modulation property explains us that when you superimpose x of t with cos omega ct, the x of t spectrum is going to get translated with respect to omega c. That is what the conclusion we can make from this particular derivation. Similarly, when you go with sine function, sine means j part will come now. So 1 by 2j has to come over here. So 1 by 2j, rest of the function is going to be same for us. So this is what for the modulation or a convolution, not convolution, it's going to be known as the modulation property of the x of t signal with respect to sine and cos functions. The next simple property is going to be symmetry property in the complex frequency spectrum. Symmetry means what? We normally go for symmetry with even and odd functions. Therefore, if you take x of t as a signal which is a real signal, which is compromising of real part and imaginary part. So if you find out Fourier transform of such a function, it is going to give us result in terms of real part and imaginary part. So real part I have written as xr of omega, imaginary part as xi of omega. This j indicates that it is going to be of imaginary part. Now, the beauty of this is going to be here is the even function is going to, the even function of this particular signal x of t is going to form a Fourier transform pair with the real part of this particular signal, and odd function of this particular signal is going to form a Fourier transform pair with the imaginary part of the signal. So that is how the proof we are going to do. This is what one of the property of the Fourier transforms. We provide the proof here. So here xc of t and x0 of t are even and odd parts of the signal x of t. So every signal is going to have, as we discussed, real part, even function as well as odd function. It is a combination of x of t function is a combination of real function, odd function, and also the DC components. So DC components we are not bothering here because we are dealing with only AC representations. So therefore, forget about DC because we are doing only integration part and all these things in the Fourier transform. So we are not bothering about DC here. So here, what I can say here is something like now. So x of t is going to have combination, is going to have the combination of even function and a odd function. So x of t is going to have even and odd parts of the signals represented by xc of t and x0 of t. Well, so now x of t is going to form a Fourier transform pair with real part of x of omega and imaginary part of x of omega. If since x of t is real, so if you take x of minus t, then we normally going to get a complex conjugate pair. where this plus is going to become minus here, because these two are going to form a complex conjugate pairs. This x of t is going to form a pair with x of omega, which is equal to this formula, and x of minus t is going to form a pair with x of x star of omega, means what, it is a complex conjugate of this x of omega. Because it is complex conjugate, this plus is going to become minus over here. Now these two are the forms which we have to start with. So let us write the expression or equation for the real even signal or odd part of the signal represented by xc of t is equal to, how I can write this as 1 by 2 into x of t plus x of minus t. If x of t is a real function, x of minus t is replaced with x of t. If it is x of t plus x of t, 2 into x of t, okay, into 1 by 2. So 2 will get cancelled. I left over with the function x of t. Because the function is even function, I should get the even function x of t. So I got the even function. So therefore, this is the mathematical representation to represent the even function. Now, after we do this, applying the Fourier transform to this, we normally have 1 by 2. X of t means x of omega, x of minus t means x star of omega. Complex conjugate of the x of omega is x star of omega we can have. Then finally, I'll be having 1 by 2. Now, how can I write this x of omega? X of omega is equal to, this is the form. Real part of omega plus j into imaginary part of omega I have. Similarly, conjugate means real part of omega minus j into imaginary part of omega. So these two will get cancelled, plus minus components will get cancelled. I left over with 2 into real part of x of omega. So 2 will get cancelled. I'll be getting the even function. Even function in the given function x of t is represented is going to form a Fourier transform pair with the real part of the signal. Similarly, exactly, we go with the odd signal representation. Odd means what? X of t minus, we'll write here, of x of minus t, of x of minus t. So here what we'll be having now, x of minus t is nothing but equal to minus x of t for an odd part. So minus into minus becomes plus. Once again, I'll be getting the x of t signal. So well, we'll expand this now. X of t, if you apply Fourier transform, we normally have x of omega. X of minus t, if you apply Fourier transform, x star of omega, then simply apply this x star of omega and all these things. By substituting this, we normally going to get imaginary part of this. So this is what the one of the Fourier transform, which is normally going to explain about the symmetry property of the Fourier transforms. And the last function, which is going to be the Parseval's theorem, very, very important function for the engineering ECE graduates. Anyway, we discuss here Parseval's theorem also. Now here Parseval's theorem states that if x1 of t forms a Fourier transform pair with capital X1 of omega, and x2 of t is going to form a Fourier transform of capital X2 of omega, then it satisfies the following relationship. What is the relationship? Integral of x1 of t into conjugate of x2 of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral of x1 of omega into conjugate of x2 of omega for the complex value, for the complex signals of x1 of t and x2 of t. This is what the Parseval's theorem. It also provides one more property called Parseval's identity theorem. So Parseval's identity theorem means what? If x1 of t and x2 of t is equal to x of t, then it results into an energy signal, which is nothing but E is equal to integral of x mod x of t whole square dt is equal to 1 by 2 pi. These two are going to be x of omega only. So therefore, x of omega into x of omega means x of omega square d omega part we normally going to get. So these two relations are normally come under the Parseval's theorem. This one is Parseval's theorem. This one is going to be Parseval's identity theorem. So two theorems are normally there in this particular thing, which both are important as far as properties of this particular Fourier transforms are concerned. Okay, let us go with the proof now. What is the thing we have? Integral of x1 of t into conjugate of x2 function of t dt is equal to, what I can write this as now, integral of minus infinity plus infinity. What I can write? x1 of t I can write in terms of the inverse Fourier transform as 1 by 2 pi integral of capital x1 of omega e power j omega d omega. This entire part has been written for x1 of t. x2 of t conjugate remains as it is. Now we change the order of integration. we have to go with, we are doing actually with the Fourier transform. So therefore, x1 of omega is something like, a frequency represented signal. So therefore, I'll take it outside. And time domain part is there with respect to t here. I have with respect to t here. Let us take the with respect to time part inside. So 1 by 2 pi constant, take it outside. So 1 by 2 pi outside, integral of x1 of omega into whole into integral of minus infinity plus infinity x2 of t star into e power j omega t dt whole into d omega. Now what is this equation called as now? It is going to be called as the simply the complex x2 of t is a complex conjugate. So complex notation, I can write this as complex conjugate as, if I replace t with minus t, I'll be normally going to get the complex conjugate of this particular function. This is the complex conjugate function of this one. So which is nothing but, what is this now? X into e power minus j omega t dt integration is nothing but the Fourier transform. So therefore x2 of omega I can write, capital X2 of omega, conjugate of this x2 conjugate I have, so d omega. Then next one is something like I can write 1 by 2 pi integral of x1 of omega into x2 conjugate, x2 omega conjugate d omega. Okay. So this is, what is this function now? What is this function I got? This is a relationship I got. So which is known as the Parseval's theorem. Now after we get this Parseval's theorem, that means if we have a conjugate on the time domain, you will be having conjugate on the frequency domain as well with 1 by 2 pi, because we'll be considering for one complete cycle. Then Parseval's identity, another theorem. If x1 of t, x2 of t is equal to x of t, then this is represented as an energy signal. So I can write this as E is equal to like this, where x1 of t, x2 of t represented with x of t. Therefore, I can write this as x1 x of t whole square. Similarly, this x1 of omega is equal to x2 of omega is equal to x of omega. Then I can write this simply as x of omega. Okay, so therefore I can write this as, mistaken written, this should be x of omega square. This should be, so x of omega square d omega. So this is going to be the Parseval's theorem. So with this, we have completed all the Fourier transform properties. Okay, we have completed all the Fourier transform properties with the Parseval's theorem. Okay, so we have, with this we have ended the unit number 4. Now we'll move on to the next class. We'll move on to the unit number 3, where we discuss about the Laplace transforms. Okay, so thank you very much for the today's session.